It cost me almost $80,000 to start my Amazon FBA business. And I'm going to reveal all of my costs and break down how much each step cost me to launch my product, Lil Advents. But I'm also going to show you how much you can expect to be out of pocket to launch your own Amazon FBA business. Because on average, it costs around $3,500 to start an Amazon FBA business. But it can cost anywhere from $0 to $1,500 and all the way up to over $20,000 to start an Amazon business. And these costs are something most new Amazon sellers don't realize. So pay attention. You're going to have to pay for the design of your product, which includes the logo and the packaging design, which would typically cost around $200. You're also going to have to pay for UPC barcodes, which can cost anywhere from $5 to $250. You will also have to pay for samples of the product that you want to sell on Amazon, which could cost anywhere up to being free up to a few $100s. And if you approve of the sample and you want to pay for a full production run, that production run can cost anywhere from $300 all the way up to $20,000 and more, depending on the cost of your product and how many units you want to produce. Again, I'll reveal my exact cost in just a moment. But the next fee you're going to have to pay is for shipping to get your product from your manufacturer into the Amazon warehouse. And depending whether or not you want to do sea shipping or air shipping and how much product you're shipping into the warehouse, that number could vary widely. You also want to pay for photos of your product for your Amazon listing. And on the low end, that's going to cost around $50. You're probably going to want to get a professional seller account with Amazon, and that's going to cost you $39.99 a month. I'm going to break down all of these fees and tell you exactly how much I spent to launch my product, Lil Advents, so you know how much it could cost you to start your Amazon FBA business, as well as share some huge tips on how you can save a lot of money when starting your Amazon business in just a minute. But let me give you some real-world examples of how much it actually cost for some other successful Amazon sellers to start their Amazon business. For example, it cost Nina only $1,500 to start his Amazon business. Now he's doing over $100,000 in sales every month. Steven spent $1,800 to start his Amazon business. Now he's been able to quit his job and pay his bills from his Amazon business. Carlos spent $5,000 to start her tea company, and she's now making a full-time income. And AJ, who is a student in the Amazon FBA program, which I will talk more about soon, he was actually able to start his business with $0. And he's done over $90,000 in sales just on Indiegogo. And my name is Mindy. And before I reveal my exact startup costs, I want you to know that I have been where you are. And I've been nervous about starting my own business too. Growing up, I needed to be my own boss and have financial freedom. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I spent years flipping stuff on eBay, and I had a ton of side gigs. I even had some success selling on Amazon. And out of nowhere, Amazon started copying my products. They started selling them under Amazon Basics, and they crushed my entire business, and I could not beat them on cost. I was facing bankruptcy almost overnight. I knew I had to act fast or end up losing everything I'd spent years building. Suddenly, I found myself in a race to create, manufacture, and launch a unique product as quickly as possible. And that's when my inspiration struck. My daughter Ruby was struggling with potty training, and I realized that there wasn't a product out there that provided tangible, positive reinforcements for kids, something that actually delivered real results. And boom, the idea was born. Lil Advents, a completely new product, which gives a prize to a child after they've used the potty once, then twice, then 3 times in a row. It's really encouraging, and it works. And the best part is that nobody could copy it. But that's where the real work started, because this idea needed to happen fast. After my last Amazon business was copied by Amazon Basics, I knew I couldn't risk that happening again. When I pitched Lil Advents to my attorney, he introduced me to a toy mogul who immediately saw the potential. He told me he was heading to China in 4 weeks and could help me connect with the perfect manufacturer. But I only had to act fast. That meant taking Lil Advents from just an idea to a fully designed, production-ready product in under a month. It was intense, an all-consuming race against the clock, but I was very determined to make it happen, and failure was not an option for me. And it ended up costing me almost $80,000 in total to start my Amazon business. And that does sound like a lot, but since I've launched my product, Lil Advents has made almost $2.5 million. And because I'm my own boss, I've been able to change my life around. But let's break down how much it's actually going to cost you to start your your Amazon FBA business. Now I'm going to be talking about some mandatory fees for starting your Amazon FBA business and some optional fees. For example, a lot of people think they need to pay for product research tools, but that's actually not true. I'm going to give you some techniques on how you could do product research for free later in this video. The first mandatory fee is the design for your product. And what I mean by this is the logo, the packaging design, and things like that. I would recommend spending at least $200 on the design for your product. Now, if you really want to create a solid brand, you could spend more than this. It cost me $3,800 to design my logo and packaging. I hired a professional graphic designer to help me with the shapes and base character outlines, but I designed everything else after that myself. The logo, the character faces, and the entire package design was by myself. I did spend $34 on a monthly app fee for Illustrator, so I could spend a lot of time learning as fast as I could. To get your logo and packaging design, you could use Fiverr, Upwork, or 99 Designs. And the way 99 Design works is you submit your design request, and a bunch of designers send you their version of your logo or package, and you just choose one and go from there. In fact, if you don't want to do all that work yourself, there's a company called FBA Creatives that will do all of your photos, logo, and packaging for you, as well as your listing descriptions and keywords. And there's a link down in the description. You also need to pay for UPC barcodes, which is required by Amazon for you to list your products. The proper way to get your barcodes is to go to gs1.org. It cost me $50 to get 3 barcodes for my 3 little advent SKUs. The next thing you'll want to pay for is samples of your product, because before you spend a few $1,000s on a production run, you want to make sure that the product you're going to get is going to be good. A lot of times, manufacturers will give you a sample for free. You'll just have to pay for shipping, which from China is going to cost you around $40. And if it's in the US, it'll cost you around $10 to $15. I did have to spend $320 to get samples of the product quickly shipped to me before starting our first run of Little Advents. Now, if you're unsure on how to find a manufacturer for your product, there is an expert Amazon seller named Travis who's made a free video, and I will link it down below to show you step by step on how you can find a manufacturer. And once you find a manufacturer that you like, they send you a sample of your product. And if it's good, you'll place your first production run. One factor to consider is how many units you want to order in your first manufacturer run. I would recommend starting between somewhere around 300 to 500 units. Basically, you want to purchase around 3 to 6 months of inventory. And here's what I did. It cost me a little over $55,000 to get my product made by my manufacturer. And that was for almost 13,000 units for 3 different SKUs of Little Advents. But that's not all it cost me to get my products from China into the Amazon warehouse. This was a lot of money, but I was not messing around. It was my only option. I actually took out a loan to float all these new business expenses, and taking out a loan was more expensive than I thought it would be. But if you're starting new, you don't need to rush out and take a loan. Luckily, the YouTube coach Travis has an in-depth tutorial that explains how to start your own Amazon FBA business for $0 by harnessing the power of crowdfunding and social media. And he actually goes in depth on his Amazon FBA course, The Passion Product Formula. There's a link in the description for you to check out. But for me, at the end of the day, I was so happy to have such a big connection in the toy space, which helped me find the perfect partners for me. But if you're looking to find a manufacturer for your own product, there's a few different ways to search for them. There's Alibaba.com, where there's hundreds of manufacturers across Asia, India, and Europe. And you can use ThomasNet to find manufacturers exclusively in the US. Or you can even just use Google by typing in the product that you want plus manufacturer. The next step is to pay for shipping from your manufacturer to the Amazon warehouse. Now, how much you spend on shipping depends on a few different factors. The first thing to consider is, do you want to ship your product via sea or via air? The price will depend on how big the product is and how heavy it is. Shipping cost me $4,900 to get my product from my manufacturer in China to my warehouse in the United States. We did sea shipping because it was cheaper, but it took longer. Typically, shipping via air is faster, but it's much more expensive. But then I had a lot of unexpected fees. I had to pay $425 for my annual bond fee for importing goods from China. Then, when it finally arrives in the US, I had to pay $3,300 for an intensive exam fee at customs. My containers got flagged by customs because I was a new importer. So I had to spend $528 to store my products at customs while it was getting this intensive exam at customs before it got shipped to my house. This was a massive, unexpected cost, but finally it was released, and I had to spend on top of this, another $2,000 to ship it from my house into Amazon's warehouse. Now, the next fee I want to talk about is photos. This is important to do right because customers can't touch your products like in a store. They can only see photos, the price, the titles, and the ratings. Customers' focus is the main photos. So I really recommend, instead of getting standard photos taken for your product, to actually do a computer rendering from anywhere from $50 to $150. I actually spent $0 on the photos for my products because I did them all myself. But there are benefits to hiring a professional photographer. You should also expect to pay around $100 to $500 to register your business. You can get an LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company, or a DBA, which stands for Doing Business As. This allows you to open up a business bank account and a business credit card, and it basically shows Amazon that you're a legitimate business. An LLC also gives you legal protection. I spent $90 on an LLC. I got this done with my accountant in Delaware, and an LLC could cost you $200 from wyregisteredagent.net. And I recommend getting an LLC for your business because if you ever get sued, an LLC means there's a separation between your business and your personal assets. You can also get a DBA for $90 from LegalZoom, and it's the business name that you use to operate under for tax purposes. It's great for marketing and branding, but it won't offer any legal protection if you get sued. The last fee to consider is the Amazon seller account fee. And there are two types of accounts: a free account, which will charge you 99 cents per item sold, or a professional account that will cost you $39.99 a month. So if you're planning on selling 40 or more units a month, just start with the professional account. Altogether, it'll cost you around $3,000 to $5,000 to start your Amazon FBA business. But remember, if you don't have a lot of money, you can start your Amazon business for $0 if you use Indiegogo or Kickstarter. For me, with just those essential fees, I spent about $80,000, and that made me feel nervous spending that much money, especially with the loan. But I knew my product, Little Advents, was a winner. And that wasn't my final cost for setting up my Amazon FBA business, because there are some optional costs that you should be aware of before you start your own business. One of the best ways to save money is you don't need to pay for product research tools like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout, but I will say if you're brand new to this, it's really worth investing in a tool like Helium 10. And there's actually a huge discount code that you can click down below to get the whole suite of Helium 10 tools. There's also a deal for Jungle Scout, and that's linked down below. But for me personally, if I was new to Amazon FBA, I would pay for Jungle Scout for 1 month, and then as soon as I find a product, I would just cancel my subscription. If you're going to do that, make sure to get the discount code, or if you don't want to pay for any product research tools, that's completely fine. And here's a video up here on how to do it for free. When I started my Amazon FBA journey with my product, Little Advents, it cost me nothing to do product research because I just Googled to try and find a competitive product, anything that was remotely similar, and nothing showed up. Now, Amazon PPC is another optional fee. If you really want to crank up the sales for your business, PPC stands for pay per click, where Amazon will put your product at the top of the search result. But every time somebody clicks on it, you will pay a bit of money. When I first launched, I invested in PPC to get my product out in front of people because it didn't exist yet. And I essentially needed to create that market. But another important optional fee, and I think the most important and most beneficial fee when starting your own Amazon FBA business, is education. You should look into a mentor with an Amazon FBA course and join a community of sellers. This will usually cost less than $1,000. If someone's charging more, they're really scamming you. You want to research the mentor or host to see if they have legitimate experience and expertise. For example, the Amazon seller Travis, he's made over 7 figures selling his product on Amazon, and his program could really speed up your success. Another important thing to keep in mind is that you're going to make less mistakes because you're going to be learning from someone else. You can save thousands of dollars and hours of stress. You can bypass spending hours of trying to find up-to-date videos and wade through tons of useless info and directly learn through an expert like Travis. If you sign up to the Passion Product Formula, which is linked down below, invest in yourself and join an Amazon FBA course. Now, I built a passive income business, and I know you can be a success if you do too. Joining Travis's FBA program, the Passion Product Formula, can change your life. You will not regret it. And in Travis's course, you'll get over 100 step-by-step tutorials, one-on-one coaching, and exclusive Q&As to help you start your own Amazon business as cost-effectively as possible. So there's a link in the description to join. But if you're not ready for that yet, Travis has a completely free 10-hour Amazon FBA course that you can get by clicking right here. And if you have a toddler and you're looking to potty train, check out my product by Little Advents. The link is in the description below.